It was a very intense week. It all happened so fast, you kind of blur parts out. There was no lead up. There was nothing to tell me this is gonna happen to you. I'm a healthy 17-year-old girl. Just one day, I started feeling a weird chest pain. It felt like something I haven't really felt before, but I played it off like a cough. Next day, I take deep breaths in, and it was a pain I've never experienced before. I got to a point where I'm not eating, I can't really move. I was like, Ksenia, you gotta go now. You gotta go immediately to the doctor. Next thing I know, I'm in an ambulance to Children's Hospital. As that ride was happening, I was dying. I was in respiratory failure. I was fighting for myself, literally fighting so hard to just stay alive, I guess.
July 4th holiday, you know, as the flip of the coin goes, as you make a schedule, it was my holiday in order to be in the ICU. Holiday weekends, we tend not to have a busy operative schedule.
We got a consult on one of those days, and it was a teenager who had presented with a fever and shortness of breath. And when you looked at their chest x-ray, it looked like they had a pneumonia. It's not terribly common to have pneumonias in July, but it's possible, and so the child was started on antibiotics. The next day, we got a second consult, and it was pretty much the same story. And while we were seeing that child, a third consult came in. I said to the fellow, we've already heard this story. And he said, no, Dr. DeAndre, this is the third one.
The teenagers that were being admitted really did not have any prior pulmonary history. No past medical history of asthma, no past medical history of lung disease.
What we saw when we looked in the airways was that they were very irritated. One of the kids had these specks in their airway, which looked like a burn. Several of them were in the intensive care unit. Some of them were intubated and on ventilators. What were we going to do with this? The antibiotics weren't working. What was the next step?
As we started to piece through this became kind of the puzzle. What were the links? How do we put these things together?
The next thing that we're trained to do as pediatricians is we take a social history.
None of these kids knew each other. They came from different parts of the area. One thing that stood out when they were talking through it is these kids were vaping.
I mean, there is no treatment for vaping. We had to sort of make an educated decision based on looking at those airways. We made the decision to give these kids steroids.
I woke up in the ICU. I know my sister's in there, my mom's in there. I'm smiling, I'm coherent, I'm happy, I'm alive. That's for sure. And still, I don't know why I'm in there. That's when the questions started coming about vaping.
2 or 3 more came in that week. It didn't stop. I picked up the phone and called Dr. Gutzeit.
What she asked was, do you think this is a public health emergency? Reporting something like this without knowing all the facts and all the details could raise unnecessary alarm or concern in the public. We didn't have an explanation, and we thought that the association with vaping was strong enough. And we decided that we would go out with a statement.
We're here today to warn you about what we believe is a significant health issue related to the danger of vaping in teenagers.
So as we moved through the next few days, we started to get more and more requests. This was picked up nationally.
Now an update on a story we've been following on the rising number of people suffering lung damage, apparently from e-cigarettes.
We started to get other organizations saying, yeah, we're seeing the same thing. We have patients with the same unexplained symptoms. Now what you're telling us makes sense.
We were right in the thick of things, treating these kids, and yet we were getting phone calls from other hospitals around the country asking, what we were doing.
I think that's why we make a difference in the health of our children and our community. And I think a lot of that has to do with the uniqueness of our location. Our referral base, it's every county in Wisconsin. It's understanding our state. It's understanding our community.
We have amazing clinicians in the organization across a wide spectrum of specialties and subspecialties. And when those people start talking together, we get an enhanced ability to understand what's going on. That really was the link that allowed all of this to fall into place.
My hope is that the work continues, because unfortunately this story isn't over.
Vaping is this generation's cigarette smoking in terms of a public health crisis. The effect of nicotine on the brain, the effect of all of the chemicals are horribly detrimental to the rapidly developing and changing body of a child.
I started vaping in my freshman year because my sister had one. 17 was like an opportunity junior year for me to start vaping pretty heavily, to the point it didn't really leave my hand. Even in school, I'd have it, and I'd have to go to the bathroom to use it, and that hold is severe, and I know that's the hold that a lot of other kids my age have.
As a mom, I was dedicated to figure out how I could prevent this, because this is something preventable. I call it my crusade to prevent any child from starting to use e-cigarettes. In November 2019, I went to Madison to testify in support of a bill to raise the age of tobacco purchase to 21. We are working hard as an organization to get this law passed. Even if I prevent one child from using an e-cigarette, that is a success story.
The hospitalization definitely was a push. If I wasn't hospitalized, I probably would still be vaping today. It was such an eye-opener. It was a lesson. It was a life I think needed to take me down that road. It was definitely a path I think I needed to learn a different lifestyle, not following the crowd, not doing what everyone else is doing because it is cool. Just being vape-free has changed so much already. I'm a changed person, that's for sure.